There we go. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, and all you see is a screen because we are prepping things. I'm going to stop that. Hey, welcome friends and family and people and interested parties and stuff like that. What I'm doing here is give me a moment to mention this on a few different sources. We're going to go live here on YouTube, of course. It's public. Putting it up on Facebook and some Discord channels. And I am not by myself here. We have a friend, Stefan, from Australia. Say hello.
G'day guys, how you going?
Hey. And it's good. It's always good to have someone on the show as well. If anyone is listening live and wants to jump in, you do not actually need to be fluent in these subjects. If you are, that's great. If not, we can add a few more people because it's always nice to have someone to ask questions, right? Yeah. So I think we are rolling. There's some people on there. What I'm going to do a little bit is share the screen quite a bit. And I don't think I've really gone live here on YouTube. Let me double check here that I'm going to be able to see what everyone is asking. If they ask comments, and they can ask on Discord. I'll check Facebook from time to time here. Let's go to the events and the control room. Sounds so fancy. All right. Okay. Someone said that we sound all right, which is good. Thank you. All right. You can hear me. We've been talking for about 20 minutes, kind of talking about some fun things. I've met Stefan through one of these Steam-related projects called SteemMonsters we're going to talk about soon. And we're both quite into it, right?
Absolutely, definitely.
But what I wanted to do is kind of go through the history. Because my channel is mostly photography related and has been for many years, I wanted to talk about how that kind of started, how I got involved in it. And it was very photography related, how I got involved in it. And to the point where I've helped a small team create basically, I tell my friends this, hey, I created a social media site. Now, I didn't create the whole social media, the whole blockchain, the database for it has existed for 2 years. But it's also just kind of fun to say, hey, I created a social media site. And it's legit, like I helped create a site. So, and I'm going to show that over here because this helps out quite a bit with our discussion right here. So let me open that up. There we go. All right, so here's Steem. What's your favorite, Stefan? What's your favorite way to explain blockchain?
Well, I guess it's a little bit different to sort of how people use their current social media. So obviously, at the moment, if you're on Facebook and say you write up a post, say it could be just about your day or something like that, you'll obviously hit submit on it, and obviously it'll be there for everyone to see, which is just like it is in our window on Steemit. But the difference is the blockchain is permanent. So if you go ahead and say delete something on Facebook, your friends won't be able to see it, etc. Like, Facebook may have a copy of it in the back end, but it's not something that the general public can access. Where on the blockchain, once you submit something and it's sitting there, you can delete it, edit it, but it will still be there in its context, in its original form, basically forever. So it's cementing facts, which can be used to verify things. So it could be used for a lot of different purposes, but specifically for what we do, I guess it's used to ensure that the people who want to write things down, whether it be about a blog or about a memory, or for transactions, for financial transactions, can all be listed in a place where everyone can access them, and that the records are always kept and ensured by the safety of the people looking after the database, basically.
Yeah, so there you go. You got I would say, the more involved description of it. What I typically just kind of, and I will relate it most of the time to Steem in general, which is what we're talking about. And I basically just say it's a database, it's a public database, and then I'll kind of start building on top of that. It's a database, it's public, and what's great about it, it's uncensorable, and it's very secure. So a lot of different companies may use this kind of technology. On Steem, it's we're not worried about some of the things that they would use blockchain for, but it's also nice to have the uncensorable aspect of it. And it kind of comes with a lot of times connected to a currency aspect as well. So other blockchain blockchain is used in other projects like Bitcoin, which is probably the most popular one. So, but think about this: you've got. Let's go back to screen sharing this. You've got a social media site like SteemPeak. It's a way to view this blockchain. It's a way to view this database of information. This title of my post is some information. These pictures are more information. What I have written here is more information. So all that information gets put into a database, and in this case, it's a public one, which means that me and a couple of friends were able to create an interface, a website, to this database. So that's what websites usually are. They're an interface. And behind the scenes, you have a database. So we were able to create this one. Some other people may be more familiar, or I've at least heard of this interface called, I can't even remember how to use this one very well. How do I get to my blog? There it is. It's so foreign to me now. So this is another interface to that same database. So, I mean, we could go back and forth here. Oh, that's not it. This is it. So we can look at the two different interfaces. Have you spent much time on SteemPeak, Stefan?
Yeah, I have. I've obviously, like a lot of the guys here in Adelaide are on it already, so I'm sort of probably the last one to jump across.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of just getting all my ducks in a line before I for multi-account access and stuff like that. It's going to be really good. That's probably the biggest feature I think I'm going to benefit out of.
Of which one?
Just like multi-account access. So obviously not
Oh,
having to run different windows, so I can just flick between like my different pages. Obviously all in the one page basically, instead of having multiple sort of windows open, etc.
yeah. I'll show you what I kind of do there. I'm gonna come back. That feature is amazing. I'll show you what I have. I help with a lot of accounts, so that one is like my biggest joy. That saves me all the time in the world. But you know what? Let's go to it real fast. I'll show off a couple of those things here. Where are we at with this? Okay. So yeah, what he was talking about is I can switch between a few different things. So I run this project called SteemMonsters. So I can log in. Now what if I log in back and forth because I have it up to date now. It takes this long to get to another account. And now I could go back to this account and I'm there. So, but we're going to talk about a little bit more about, we're both excited about SteemMonsters, which is it's a game on Steam, which sounds funny because there's also the Steam, like the gaming system with an EAM, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Have you faced that sort of confusion?
I think there's like a lot of people obviously in the gaming sort of world or sector, I guess that's what they know Steam as when they refer to that in that sort of context. So when you sort of explain to them, oh, well, we actually have a social media blogging platform on the blockchain called Steem, they're like, spelled the same way.
Yeah.
So
No.
it
You
takes
know
a little bit of time to
what
get used
helps
to.
is like it's spelled like esteem, esteem, like you're going up in esteem in my book or something.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's helped me out a little bit. So I'm going to go back to Jarvie because I think those that are watching primarily on YouTube or on Facebook are more used to me talking about photography. So I jumped on to Steem, and originally using SteemIt because SteemPeak didn't exist because a few months afterwards I was like, I'll help this group that's creating this, and we were all photographers. And so one of our big things is like we wanted our pictures to be a little bit bigger and beautiful. And and for the YouTubers out there, I mean, you can hit this button and start playing YouTube straight from it. We don't like, yeah, we don't. That was a big problem with Facebook for the last, oh, I can't. It's been a big problem for me and for others for a long time now, where Facebook, if you ever were to mention YouTube or some other external site, they would basically just kill your post. They wouldn't show it to your fans or your friends. A very low rate of showing it. And you could, like, I've done tests and I put it up the same post with and without the link, and the post without the link gets a lot more views, but the post without the link is a lot less valuable than the post without the video. So, and then we also made this cool slideshow feature, and we made the ability to do drafts and templates. And I was like, well, my YouTube friends or my photographer friends, we need to be able to save some time when we're creating these posts. Or, I mean, we need to be able to maybe do it all at once and then schedule it. So I don't know if you go, a lot of like travel photographers will be out of cell phone or computer internet range for days on end, right? So they still want to interact and share with their friends and families. So go in here and upload a image and give it a moment. And then start writing some stuff. Hello, world. Isn't that what you're supposed to always write? If you haven't used this either, Stefan, this is kind of like a little training course for you as well. But it's pretty similar to what you're using, I'm sure.
The template feature is really, really good, though. I think if anything that you could save in there and obviously go back to at any time, it's not something you got to keep in a separate Word document or in a cloud. Like it is effectively your cloud on the go.
Go. I'd write some tags, 5 of them, kind of system. Airstreams are cool. And then it'll auto save this for me. Then I could actually save that into a template, but I haven't really done a lot, like where you could like follow me here, and then you list everything, and you don't want to do that every single time, so you save that as a template. And then I could schedule that for whenever I want, and I could exit, go to look at my bookmarks, and I want to go back and work on that post. Oh, there it is. Airstreams are cool. So there we are, and we're actually live reporting to you from the Airstream. Boom, boom, right here inside the Airstream. I don't know if you knew that, but I traveled the country to all 50 United States, all 50 states in the United States for over a year. I was on the road full time. So I went and photographed religious buildings, and I had this Airstream. So that was a fun little project. Something maybe I should write about a little bit more. Well, I've got this cool blog post. I could do that. And then you get these cool dashboard type stuff. And I guess for anyone just kind of randomly listening, uh, because we're going to be talking a little bit more about Steem, and I know there's some people there that already understand almost every concept we've talked about. But I think a lot of other people may not understand that. Here, I'll show you that Steem actually is connected to a currency. And go back over here. And so these posts have the ability to make money. So it's based on a vote. The really simple way to explain it is, well, we'll go to my feed, the people that I've liked and want to see their stuff. And I could see it based on chronological too, so I can make sure I see everything that my friends or something do. So in any case, the idea behind it is that there's new currency being created each day, and the people using this system, whether it be our interface or another, you get to vote, and whoever gets lots of votes gets that new currency. That's the simplest way to explain it. So if you really like what they're writing, then you give them a good vote, and maybe that encourages them to write more. What do you think? Do you have a good, fast discussion? Like, here we go. I'm going to do that right now. So this heart has financial impact, and I can vary it. There we go. We're going to give Scott is his name. I've met him, stayed at his house there in Lake Tahoe area. So I'm going to add to his potential payout rewards, which will happen in 7 days from now. So pretty simple stuff. What we want to do on SteemPeak is have this number give you somewhat of a fiat number as well, like US dollars or euros, or maybe Australian dollars for you, Stefan.
Well, there you go. Yeah, anything to make life easier.
Yeah, but you probably know what's the exchange rate between
It's terrible.
Steem and Australian
Steam.
dollars.
That is a good question. Let me have a look.
You know it between Australian and US dollars, don't you?
Yeah, it's like a dollar. We're $1.40 against the US at the moment, so it's not too good. So any
No,
purchases that we make, we sort of are paying through the teeth.
no. Yeah.
Steam always looks better. The price of Steam looks better in Australian dollars.
Oh, okay. Well, right now it's not looking quite as good for the US dollars. Here, let's see. I need to refresh this because I went back and forth a bunch. There we go. And I'm logged in as SteemPeak right now. That's probably not handy. I need to. Do you like night mode or not?
Well, a funny story happened last week. I use I guess would you call it a light mode? I guess I don't use night mode.
Night mode, sorry.
Even in
Dark.
Discord, and someone said to me the other day, they're like, "How do you not use it?" And I'm like, I don't know. I've just always, ever since I started, I've always used light mode.
Yeah,
So I've
I'm so
never.
used to this. This is the way that I see things. So interesting. Okay, let me go check to see if there's any questions about any of this. Give me a moment. Stop screen sharing. So, hello, friends. And then maybe let's get on over to what that kind of led me to. And we're going to have some SteemMonsters discussion. And we're going to tell everyone watching why they should probably go support the Kickstarter that's happening right now for sure. So
It's the best time. We're sort of pre-Kickstarter. Well, we just got into Kickstarter now, but things are moving pretty quick.
yeah, it's actually kind of in my opinion, it's like, who am I to give financial advice? But I think it's going to be a really good financial opportunity for a lot of people. And they always give the better financial opportunities at the very beginning to people that are making it happen. You know, eventually there'll be tens of thousands or maybe millions of people, and they're all having fun and doing things. But those that really support it at the beginning will have had the most benefit. And I realize I'm not going and looking at the moment for the questions. There we go. I got it up now. All right. Oh, hey, Thrift Shop Hustler is reseller. So you have a YouTube channel. That's awesome. And we got Daniel Lamb talking about SteemPeak. And no other interfaces. Hey, we're fine with that. You know what's funny about SteemPeak? I've talked to a few people is that some of these other interfaces will give a vote if you use their interface. Totally fine. That's all right that they do that. If I found a few people that say I use SteemPeak for everything except for posting, I'll even write the post on the drafts and do all this and save it and do all my every interaction on SteemPeak, but then I'll copy paste and I'll drop it onto another interface and then come back to SteemPeak, because then they'll get a vote for it. And you know what? Like, I helped create SteemPeak, and I don't really have a problem with that. I don't see any issues really. Yeah. So you know what? Like, the whole concept is if someone out there is using another interface like Steemit, or Busy is another name of another one. Like, hey, yes, this is me. Cryptoctopus is on watching, and this is my face. So the whole concept about interacting for SteemPeak isn't that I don't think everyone has to be here. It's just I wanted a place where I could send my friends and they wouldn't be just completely confused, and a place with better retention where they're like, I understand. We'll go back to screen sharing so that people don't have to look at my face more. And we're back. Okay. Where people are like, oh, I understand what a heart does. And they're like, oh, wait, it does some other things. And hopefully this doesn't confuse them. But it also makes all the Steem users really excited about that. And they're like, oh, I know this is comments. And then this is like, we wanted to get rid of like the dollar sign, because it's like, that's not Australian dollars. That's not US dollars. You know, like, when they click on it, we want to show them what actual US dollar amount would actually be. So, because this confused every single friend that I ever showed Steemit to. They're like, oh, you make that's how much US dollars you make? You're like, not quite. No, actually not at all. Not even really close. No, I don't know why we have the US dollar sign there. I'm sorry. And you know, just certain things that were confusing to them. So I have no problems with people using other interfaces, really. It's just I wanted a site where they could send their friends and not have to spend an hour explaining how to use Steem, right? You've had that experience, right? People watching, and Stefan, right? You've had the experience where you spent a lot of time and you invested a lot of time explaining how to use Steem.
Yeah, you can definitely I mean, probably the simpler the answer is probably easier for people to understand, I guess. But it's it just because everyone's different, like, and the way in which they want to know the ins and outs of like a project or how something runs is just, you know, from one window to another. It's just the same information is available. It's just displayed differently. So, for example, if you pick up a hardcover book and you're reading a story about, you know, I don't know, just say, you know, any sort of story that's on a hardcover book, and then you pick it up on a Kindle, it's the same thing. It's just in a different window, sort of thing. The book is the hard window, and then you've got another window which looks differently. So it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Still presents the same information, just may look differently or um, yeah, interact differently.
And we got a couple of our mutual friends here. I think every social media is about connecting and making friends with different people. A lot of our interaction actually ends up happening over on different Discord channels, right? SteemPeak has their own one. Hey, there we go. Cool. I'm just looking here. Reseller has shared it on Twitter, but a couple of our friends, Soy Rosa and Cryptoctopus, are on chatting. So I'll let you know what they're saying over there, because I know, or unless you probably don't see the chat there, I'm guessing.
No, I dropped a couple of my guys a link, so.
Cool. Yeah, so Soy Rosa is probably one of them.
Yep.
So speaking of YouTube, kind of a fun little thing. I am actually going to, not long ago, has anyone heard of the King of Random?
I have not.
King of Random. So he messaged me this morning, hey, can you do a photo shoot? So I remember it was about, well, I can't remember, February or March, before I even started working on SteemPeak with Asgarth and a couple of others. And he's like, hey, can you come over to my house and explain blockchain and Steem it to me? So, and we talked for like an hour or two about it. He's like, that sounds awesome. Like, should I jump on right now? And I was like, actually, no, I don't think you should. It's like, it's not quite ready for you at the moment. Because what I didn't want to happen was for someone, I mean, he's got 10 million subscribers. He's got many employees. He's got a lot of things on his plate. I didn't want for him to jump in and just leave. And now I'll go over and I'll see him in 2 hours and I'll say, you know what, I think we're about ready. Like, let's get you going. Because then he could use so many of those features of SteemPeak. So, and what's funny is if we do a video and he talks about it, well, I mean, not every, these get maybe 3 to 4 million views per video. But all those 3 to 4 million people will know about SteemPeak, and then when they hear someone talk about Steem It or one of those others, they're like, "Wait, is that like SteemPeak?" That's going to be really funny, and we want people to understand the ins and outs of it. So tell him to jump. Yep, YouTubers have to let go of the YouTube mentality. You know what? Like, this YouTube mentality, a lot of YouTubers are, I think, underlyingly a little scared of YouTube. They make their living off of it, but they're scared that that's where they make their living. So they work a lot with, because they could be demonetized at any moment. So,
Absolutely.
which obviously, I mean, you could piss off a lot of people on Steem, and maybe that hurts your finances, but you're not going to get demonetized. There's nothing really anyone can do, right? And then we got some conversation about DTube from Reseller. So I'm going to be helping another channel. We've actually filmed some videos for them, and I'll see them again on Tuesday. Have you heard of Piano Guys, Stefan? Or have you heard of King of Random? Do you do much? You probably, some people just don't do YouTube very much.
I guess I do some, but sort of specific, I guess, to, I don't know. I guess like with the amount of stuff we have going on in the blockchain, I find myself a time poor. So like when I watch certain things, it'll be like that sort of allocated time for.
Yeah.
I don't
This
get really.
This is the Piano Guys. Give them a watch. Maybe just listen. They're good listening music because a lot of it doesn't have lyrics. And I don't know if you're like me. Sometimes when I'm doing other stuff, I need just kind of like non-lyrical music. So most of it is non-lyrical. It's just a piano cello. And it was a few weeks ago, actually, that I recorded. They're like, yeah, we'll jump onto Steem. And I was like, I'll help you. Like, I want this to be a good test case for SteemPeak. I'll help. I'll strategize with you. I'll help you do some posts. But I've been busy, and I'm actually hoping for a better sign-up system because it takes so long. So any of their 6 million subscribers would have a pain in the butt just to be able to make a comment on their post, right? And so what this relates to with a reseller is he said to jump onto DTube And I think that I've recorded some videos for them, like vlog sort of videos, just kind of not their main, music videos. And I think we'll put them on to either DTube or DLive. So, which for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, they are like YouTube, but they're decentralized. So you don't have that sort of fear of YouTube coming and saying, yeah, you're off, At least I don't think that exists over there. I'm not sure.
I'm sure there'd be
That's the
some form
idea.
of, yeah. I don't really think there's anyone that's going to say you can't do that. But obviously, within anything, I guess there's still rules, but or guidelines that you have to follow. But it's nothing like they could say, we'll take your channel away.
Yeah. And here's the thing, all these, it's a good start with the piano guys. They have lots of good content, and I go and photograph them often, so I'll have lots of content that I could also help them with. And we all kind of know each other, like all these YouTubers. So they see the piano guys doing it, and if they see them doing it well, then I have a good success story to tell all my other, friends, like, hey, jump on over there. Look what the piano guys have been doing. Okay, sounds good. So, and then we got Cryptoctopus saying the ecosystem is not ready for the mass to join. We're still early adopters. So, yeah. So I guess you're saying you agree with me when I said don't join quite yet back in March. But I think SteemPeak, I've proposed a couple of ideas to the rest of the team that will facilitate a lot of things. So, but where are we? Like, if people love this conversation, that's good. If we do want to jump on over into SteemMonsters very soon, and I have some statistical analysis that I could bring up, some in-depth analysis of the Kickstarter, and we can get some 007 Stefan's. That's, if you guys, anyone doesn't know, Stefan equals 007 for those that are in the SteemMonsters community.
Yeah, 007.
007. So
Yeah, no, I need to. What's that,
what's
sorry?
that all about? What's the
Oh, I mean,
just
you
film
know,
night?
well, look, I
Seems
mean,
fun. Maybe.
I'm sure maybe next year if we meet at Steamfest, I'll be able to fill you in.
Okay. Yeah, next year or this year? In November.
Nah, next year I'll be in Thailand during Steamfest, so I won't be able to go. It overlaps, and I'd already booked my trip probably
Yeah.
5 months ago, so it's just not going
Okay.
to work out.
I am seriously considering it. Like, I do want to go. My passport is coming soon. I had to send it in for renewal. It's been 10 years, I guess. So it defaults in October. So needed that.
It'd be cool if we could have one in the US next year, though.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier for me. Easier for a lot of people, but I guess they've done 3 in Europe, so it's about time, I guess.
Maybe they come down under next year,
Next year, maybe the year after. YouTube has a conference in US and Australia, right? So we're cooler. We don't have as many people using Steem, so I'm actually interested. If anyone watching hasn't used Steem, like, please ask questions, because we got to know who to cater the conversation to, because I see a lot of people that really understand Steem very well commenting. So there we go. It should be Europe. It should always be, huh, Soy Rosa, over there near Netherlands. I suppose you're going. Is that correct? So this is a festival, like a conference, a meetup, and people interacting, networking, but also learning, and that sort of thing. It's happening in Poland in November. So, all right. Oh, we got Crystal Pacheco on here too. So we're going to move on, because I see a lot of SteemMonsters fans. We're going to move on to that, and I'm going to segue it for anyone watching later, because you have to remember this is also on my YouTube channel for people who have no clue what Steem is. I think I may have done a decent job explaining what it is, how I got into it because of photography. Because I was like, oh, hey, look, a place where I can post content. And I have content. I have pictures, and I've been a full-time photographer for, actually 10-year anniversary. I should do a post about that. 10 years without a job. That'd be a good one. Like what it's been like to be an artist, a photographer for 10 years without a job and do it pretty good, pretty comfortably. So, um, uh, and yeah, so I was like, I got good content, so let's go over and post it on SteemPeak. And if any of my friends, YouTubers, or anyone watching on Facebook as well, come on over. When I talked about votes earlier, like I've got a decent one. I mean, it's no life-changing vote, but it's at least going to be more money than you ever made on Instagram or Facebook. There you go. Except to the YouTuber friends out there. Obviously, they make more money there. So, all right. So let's segue. What ended up happening is because I'd started helping create SteemPeak, this interface, and doing different things, these guys out there started to create this game called SteemMonsters, a collectible card game. And recently they've come out with a Kickstarter, and we want to kind of analyze this and why this is a really good deal, but also talk about the game itself. And you could go over there, and we'll put a link in the description. It didn't work. It doesn't like Kickstarter links in the description. That's YouTube. So go on over to my... I put the link in the description of the channel, but in the chat, I can't put the link. So it is a collectible card game. I'm going to open it up here. What's your... Because were talking to me before the show that you have a goal to talk to 50 people about this. So what's going to be your... Well, not just talk to 50 people, get 50 of your friends playing, or at least collecting. What's your go-to script for it?
Well, I guess at the moment there's a lot of people that obviously play a lot of collectible card games, whether it be like Pokemon or Hearthstone, etc., where obviously they're paying for these cards, whether they pay sort of $2, $5, $9 for a pack of cards. Now, essentially, depending on what they're going to do and how they're going to play, some people collect things for fun, but generally a lot of these people collect and play to for tournaments. But I guess Pokemon's probably a little bit different, where the cards can be worth some form of value in some contexts, but with a lot of these other online games where people invest money into everything that they're building towards, it's not an asset that they can actually keep and sell and trade. So they're sort of putting in their hard-earned fiat or their real money out of their pocket, into something where it's not really an investment. It's an investment in time and enjoyment, but with SteemMonsters coming out, it's a platform where basically people can collect a card, from a whole different range of monsters, and they can play through like a story mode as well. So it's just not battling, and there's so many cool people involved in the community doing voiceovers, and it's just going to be like, and people can win obviously money as part of that. So people will be able to win cryptocurrency in Steem or SBD, and they'll be able to obviously then transfer that out to an appropriate wallet for withdrawal, etc., via appropriate Bitcoin ATM or whatever you guys normally do over in the US as well.
Yeah.
You own your cards, pretty much. You own your cards.
Yeah. So what I don't play any of these games in the past. I have not. I'm excited about this, and I actually have learned a lot about the strategy, and I feel like I'm pretty good at it. We'll see once the game playing starts in a week or two. But what you were saying about these online, there's a lot. I went and looked around. There's so many of these online card games like this, like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon with cards. However, all the online ones, they aren't actual assets. They're not things like when you had Magic the Gathering cards, you had a physical thing that you could buy or sell. And years later, I don't know, they've been around for a long time now, like 20 plus years. And some of those cards sell for, just dollars, and some of them sell for tens of thousands of dollars. So just like baseball cards can go for a lot of money as well. So here we have cards that are actually ownable, like nothing that this company SteemMonsters could do to take this card away from me. I own a bunch of these Angel of Lights, and there's nothing they could do to take it away from me. And I mean, they could, if I was a really bad actor, maybe they could say, you can't play our game. But here's the other thing, because it's so decentralized, they're allowing other people, other companies to be able to play or to be able to create games with these same cards. So, yeah, like I can, you can play a bunch of different places and play different styles of games too. So, and we're going to go over to the Kickstarter and show off why this is beneficial. Do you have why you think that this Kickstarter is how they should start?
What are my
into this?
thoughts? Yeah, well, I was going to say as well, because you can have one particular card where, say, if I have a card and you have a card and it's the same picture, like say for example, if it's a Goblin Shaman, for example, from the fire
Yeah, I've
fire
seen it.
deck, like essentially we can have the same card, but we've got different unique identifiers. So our cards are completely different. So if I was to go sell my card, it's completely different to his card. So it could be a different level, or it could have a different, attack stat, etc. Because they're totally unique.
Yeah. Yeah, what he's showing over here is kind of the stats at different levels. They do different things. So, and you can combine cards and they'll level up. Or you in gameplay eventually, once that starts, you can level it up that way as well. So,
I mean, the Kickstarter is good for it gives people an opportunity who can already see the amount of money, I guess, that we've raised and the amount of packs that have been bought so far. I mean, we're talking close to what are we close to now? It's $500,000 already in sales.
overall on SteemMonsters, yeah,
Yeah, in general. So that sort of Kickstarter was there, I guess, to allow some more people to jump on and obviously to
use U.S.
help.
dollars
Yeah, to use US
or
dollars as
Australian, I
well for
suppose.
people that weren't previously using cryptocurrency to buy the packs and to sort of open it up for discussion, I guess. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of spare time to play a lot of these games, and we want to give everyone the opportunity to jump on board while it's
Yeah,
still early and learn with us, because everyone's learning at this point because it's something new for everyone. So I think it's really exciting.
I'm gonna give them a little taste of. Can you see that? Is that too? The screen is probably huge.
No, that looks all right.
It's huge for me.
Okay.
So this is kind of you choose your, and I don't know if everyone watching even understands this concept. So maybe I'll go through it real fast. That like how is this being played? Well, what ended up happening is that these two teams, Little Scribe and Curascate, what they did is they chose their team and they chose their position. This being first position, second, third, fourth, fifth. It kind of goes towards this guy and then out, and they chose it, and the positioning and their players is the real strategy behind this style of gameplay. And over on the chat, we had a Doctopus talking about how another style could be, you could have like a hardcore style where the winner takes all, like at the end of this game, you win. If the red wins, they get the 4 cards of the blue and vice versa. So, or they put up one ante. It's like they put up the same thing, like we're both going to put up an Angel of Light level 1 or max level or whatever. And the winner takes all. So that's scary, huh? That would be interesting. So there's going to be big tournament prizes involved with winning from the creators, SteemMonsters, the business. However, other people could do like these variations, right? Is that like back in the day when we had Pogs, back when we were kids?
Man, did we ever? There was so many cool collectible things when we were young, right?
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some collectible things now. I just don't have kids, so I don't know what
I
they're
just like it because
collecting.
it's yeah, I don't have any kids either. I just like the fact that like with something like this for minimalists, like and people who don't want to carry around a lot of things, you can carry around, 20,000 cards, which are held on the blockchain in the cloud,
Yeah.
then instead of carrying them around in a backpack worrying if if they're gonna get wet or damaged or
Yeah. So, and they have some value. I'll show you because this is where it involves like how I got a little way more involved was creating a buy sell market. But I want to actually give the viewers kind of a rundown of how this is played. Of course, these were all decisions that they made prior to the game starting, and and then the computer simulates basically their decisions and gives them the result. And there's a little bit of randomness, not that much, not like any other card game that I know of. There's a way less randomness. So, but there are still some. So what ends up happening is that this little thing shows the speed and and basically the fastest. It's not necessarily turn based. There could be a game that someone creates with these cards that is turn based. This is basically whoever's the fastest goes first. It kind of makes sense. If you're fast, you go first. So this guy went first, and then you've got these other numbers 5. These guys would go next because they're fast, and this guy would go next, and then the 4 goes next. Then obviously it's the 3, and then this 3. So you had a miss in there. I don't know if you saw that, but that's a little bit of like if the 2 speed goes up against the 7. Well, wouldn't it make sense that the fast guy is able to dodge sometimes? So that's part of it. So you've got so many things interacting. What's your favorite right now? Those watching and Stefan, I want to hear like which one of these like stats over here? We've got their attack, their speed, their armor, and their life, or their like which one of those is the one that you look at the most? And then we'll talk about abilities after that.
um I mean it really depends on what sort of team you want to make. Well, obviously
There's
with
so
any
many
game,
variations. I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's like millions of combinations. So I guess like if you're gonna
Which
if you
which one do you get
depending
drawn to the most? Yeah.
um I would say health. I would say health. I don't know why, but that's probably because of like old school gameplay where you're like, I need to make sure I have enough health to get past the next stage or
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I think I'm just drawn to that straight away.
And to be honest, I look at abilities more than I look at any of the stats. But if I had to look at the stats, I'm more interested in the attack stat these days, and the attack type. I'm like, oh, that's a magic attack, so that's different. And then the range, because the attack types really alter where you're willing to put these people on your team. So
I think I've got like health on the mind because I was looking at it like how I could make a team. We were talking about it the other night about when you can add someone in where they can replenish their health and that sort of thing. Obviously, if you start
yeah,
off with a bit of a buffer, um, as you know, like if you have the heal ability where you can sort of gain some of that health back and you can take a few more hits, it gives your other guys more opportunity to sort of use their range attacks and their sneak attacks to take out your opponent. So there's so many different options though. I think that's the best part about it. There's I don't think there's any right or wrong way at this point.
so we got a couple of comments because I went off of full screen so I can see them now. That whole idea, someone's like the hardcore version of like where you're fighting each other and the winner takes all. That maybe gambling laws in some places would look down on that. So I'm guessing that's not something that Steem Monsters themselves would be willing to do anytime soon. However, a third party could do it and just say, hey, just so you know, like you can't play if you're in these states or something. But the rest of you are fine, or break laws or something. So
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to that, isn't it? So if someone's in, say, Los Angeles and then someone's in Dubai, and they're both obviously versing each other, technically they sort of meet in the middle, right?
something, right? Wherever the server is, I don't know. So, and the game, this animation stuff is not live. This is something that the developer uses to kind of show what ends up happening. But in the background, he's basically testing this a lot, very often, doing tons of these all day long. So it's up and working, but he's just making sure the stats are usable and that there's no problems for when it kind of we start testing it as a public. So if anyone has any more questions about the gameplay, was that interesting? Should I go through a little bit more about gameplay and strategy? That's oh, look down here. This is new to the Kickstarter. Did you see this?
Yeah, they actually added it. They added it earlier today. I think when they must have updated a couple of details, so they just added in the different attacks and just a breakdown chart.
And anyone watching, mention which of your not well the abilities and the stats. Which stat is the one that you look at the most, and which ability is your favorite? Because I want to see what Stefan thinks was his favorite. I think right now, and I could go is, I think any of the monsters that have group heal or protect or slow, inspire, or weaken, I consider them support cards, and I really love any of those ones that help the whole and team. And it's really interesting to see that they have these listed separately as well. So group heal and protect are some of my favorites, but I think inspire is going to be pretty awesome too. But group heal and protect are better. Those are my two favorite ones. What do you think, Stefan?
Well, I think for a start, there's so many options.
There's
I
a
think
lot of
heal,
options.
there
Yeah.
is. I think heal is really good. But depending on how you make your team, I guess, and how you want to play,
Yeah.
um,
Have you seen Magic Reflect and how awesome that is?
I
I
did. Yeah, I saw it in one of
been
the last videos.
super impressed about Magic Reflect, to be honest.
I do
So
actually
you
like.
gotta
I
hope
do.
that the opposing team has Magic, but
Yeah. Um, I do like. I guess there's a couple of different options where you've got like. I do even like the thorns function, where obviously if you've got thorns and then you die, you obviously leave the thorns behind. So
yeah. Someone was asking, and I'm going to put this up, which ones have heal and group heal. So you guys get a glimpse into how nerdy I can be sometimes. I take all these stats and figure out different ways to add them up. But so here's all the base stats, and then I add them up in several ways to kind of, oh, which ones have the highest health? Oh, okay. Well, we've got the clay golem, and this is at max level. Clay
mm,
golem with 12, and then Rexy with 11, and haunted spirit, frozen, and pit, and flesh golem's right up there. Okay, that's interesting. And then which ones of them have shield? Well, got the chromatic dragon with an 8 and a 1, and then the silver shield warrior with an 8 and a 3. I mean, that's dang good. They got health and shield. So, but I'll go over here and I have all the abilities kind of listed. So, to answer the question, since it was asked, do you know right off the bat which ones have heal?
oh, that's a good question.
Well,
Off
you
the
know
bat,
what?
right off the bat, no, I'd have to look. I'd have to look. I've been so busy. I'll be honest with you. I've been so busy using your fantastic market to buy cards all the time. I haven't had it. I've had time to sit down and do some, look over some of the stats. But to be honest with you, I'm that concentrating at the moment of ensuring that I've got an adequate amount of cards which I feel to support a large amount of people. If I decide to make a guild or something, that I want to
Yeah.
focus on that probably at the moment. But look,
You
like I
got
said, yeah.
haunted spirit and water element, which are interesting. It's like, oh, you hit this ghost type figure, and then you've got gold dragon has heal, flesh golem, and earth elemental. Usually, most of these right now, there's about 5 for every type of ability. Usually has about 5 owners of that ability, except for these what I would call support ones. They usually only have three of them that have that, 3 or 4. So there's only
Yeah, I
3
would say
people that
so.
have weaken, I think. Only 3 people that have fear, and only 3 people that have trample.
Trample's a good one though. I mean, like on the Rexy as well. Uh, I think obviously because you know how they're obviously testing gameplay and stuff at the moment to make sure everything's
Yeah,
balanced. I was going to say that's a really important part too, is where you play a lot of these other games and you have certain cards which just, like you could call them god cards or something, where you
yeah,
just play that card and you win. You will win 99 times out of 100. But the way this game is balanced is, you can have, what's perceived as the strongest, most expensive team, like
yeah,
saying like, US dollars against a team which is worth a lot less, and that team that's a lot less can definitely win because everything has been balanced to essentially make fair play. But in saying that, though, there'll be obviously other ways people can, equip things later on, etc. So there'll always be ways you can get an edge, but planning your team effectively, it just puts a little bit more of a um, would you say like a skill factor or like what would you think?
yeah. And you know what? Like, it's yeah. I agree with you. And I was just gonna transition that into another thing. Like, you can have different variations of the game that add extra skill factor to it. Right now, it's starting off where it may be blind, where you pick a team, I pick a team, and we're kind of like playing mind games. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to play this, and I think he's going to play that. So a lot of that is kind of mind games, and it can get really like, I just don't know. Here, I'll just put this, right? But they've talked about
Yeah.
other variations where you're playing this game right here, and let's go back to this real fast
With a substitution or something like that.
with a substitution. So you see what they have, and then it may have a countdown timer saying you have 1 minute to change or 2 minutes to change one of your cards. And so you see he has 5 of them, and you have 4, and you're like, well, he has a lot of ranged attackers at the end. So I want to put in a sneak guy, maybe right here, to kind of attack these back guys. And then they'll go and attack the back guy instead of attacking the first guy, which is the default. You usually attack the first position person. Or the other option, this is even more what I've been thinking of these days, is forget the sneak guy. If these guys aren't that powerful to begin with, and you're looking at this blue team, you just need to get through these 2 first people. Put all your emphasis
That's
on
right.
this guy, and then once range is there, like, he can't attack anymore in first position.
That's right.
And then like, that's another strategy. They balance each
What
other out, which is funny.
it's good though because like we can look at a battle like after it's complete and then say we could have done this, we could have done that, we could have done this, we could have done that. But the beauty of it is because you don't have any idea of what splinter or team the other person's going to come out with, like there's like millions of combinations. Um,
What I would
I,
like to do as well as another variation is basically uh, you could play this exact same game, but you have maybe a Discord channel. I mean, even Peak Monsters, I think, would be willing to have a Discord channel of this style for this style of game, and say who wants to do a matchup, and you basically go turn by turn, well, like little random things in it, random number generator. It says 007 goes first, and basically on the Discord or on Peak Monsters, whatever we want to do, you decide which card you're going first, and then I will counter. And we're basically building our team live online, and then you just have to make sure that the person commits to it, right? Otherwise, they're a cheater. But I mean, as long as there's nothing on the line, it's not a huge deal, right? But you're basically like, I'm going to play Frozen Soldier. You're like, well, then I'm going to do, this guy. And then you're just like each step of the line. And maybe we have like even a countdown timer on Discord. It's like you
could do that.
40 seconds to choose your next guy. I mean, there's just so many possibilities. And I think at the beginning, the big reward of jumping in on something like the Kickstarter or buying a lot of packs right now is to the person who sees all these things before they even happen, where they
can give feedback as well. And the feedback, if you see something where you're like, hey, I've got this really cool idea, you can feed that back to the developers as well. So it's like a real hands-on project. It sort of feels like, I don't know if it feels like this to you, but it feels like to me it's like we're all part of it, right? So even though I'm not there sitting making the game, I'm there as an investor. But when when the developers ask you for feedback on certain things and you give that to them and you can see that it gets implemented or taken on, like it feels like you're part of the team, which is not something that I've ever found in any other sort of game, because it's obviously already made and it's just you bought it off the shelf at an electronics store, and there's no after sales sort of interaction.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone else? I'm going to go check on the YouTube to see if anyone else had a game ideas. With the talking still, we got to talk about the trample being an awesome one. I don't think we've seen trample really in play in any of these preview type animations that we've seen, so it'll be interesting.
No, all I've heard is that it's very deadly.
And reseller saying everyone's part of the team, everyone's helping out, and it's not just that. I mean, it's early on in the game, but even when the game is going, there's a lot of people involved. There's still, I think, going to be somewhat of that element, as long as they keep the philosophy of decentralization, where someone's like, hey, I've created another really fun way to play this game, so
it's endless. I mean, and that's the beauty of it, is at the end of the day, there's people who will be able to access the information, like the cards that I have and the cards that you have, and verify that I have a level, say, a level 2 Frost Giant, and you have a level 1 Goblin Shaman, and then if they develop a game or something, like it could be an RPG, it could be anything. Look, to be honest with you, and they could implement the same sort of characters, and obviously the owners of the game and the creators, obviously, I don't know how far you were across this, but I'm pretty sure you'd be aware as well that obviously being decentralized, they really want to be able to let people use the characters and the monsters in other ways to help build the brand and the community. So I guess, like, normally, if you wanted to use, say, Spider-Man, and you went to does Marvel own Spider-Man? It's one of them.
Sony now.
And said to
It's
them,
Sony.
"Oh, Sony." He
Marvel
changed
back
his
in the day
hands.
when they weren't doing as good, they sold it. They sold the rights to Sony.
So if you wanted to use Spider-Man, you'd go to Sony and you'd say, "Hey, I'd like to use Spider-Man in my game," and they'd say to you, "No worries, sir. That's going to be X amount of dollars for your game."
Yeah.
Now, if you're making something, and you want to use the data, obviously the data's already there and it's accessible, right?
Yeah.
Through various channels. You can obviously, either contact the developers, etc., and just say to them, "Hey, this is what I've got going on," and they're all about building, and helping build our community.
Yeah.
So anything
And I
that people
wouldn't
can
fault
bring their
them if they
value.
said, "Hey, you can do it for a portion or whatever," but they could be a lot more easy work with it. So
Yeah, it's definitely, well, you wouldn't get a door slammed in your face. That's the difference, I guess, right?
yeah, and because they want that other company to be making money, and so I wanted to. You haven't looked too much at the stats. You were talking about health. We showed kind of what the highest health cards are. I'll show off a couple of the other ones. The Rexy has the highest attack at 7 at max attack. The Chromatic Dragon, I don't know. Like, you know, sometimes I go back and forth. Of course, I own, you know, I own with Asgarth Peak Monsters, and so I want lots of people to be very well informed. But part of me is like, oh, Chromatic Dragon, everyone's sleeping on it, and the price is low, and I'm just like, I shouldn't mention it, but like, he's got the second highest attack.
It's a nice card.
He has a very high health, and his list of attributes are pretty darn good. He has fear, which is a game changer if that triggers. Like,
I thought it
literally
was
a game changer.
I
Is
thought it
that
was interesting that that was one of the key. I don't know if it was like a coincidence, but obviously in the Kickstarter when they made the animation, because obviously there's a lot of like animations that are
oh
getting done
yeah.
for all the characters as well. They've included that specifically in there. I thought, you know what? I said everything gets done for a reason. I'm like, that's really. I found that really interesting, and I had a conversation with a fellow earlier today, and he was saying to me, he goes, "Oh, I don't know if I should sell." He's got a gold 4 one, so it's worth about $600-700 US on the market. And he said, I
Yeah.
don't know if I should sell it, what I should do. And I said, look, I said, I've got a good feeling about it. I said, we haven't seen it in battle yet. I said,
No.
once we see it in battle, look, then make your mind up. But in the meantime, you just hold and look after it, I reckon.
Yeah. Flying is amazing for it. That's a possibility of a dodge. Enrage, I mean, if it gets damaged and you put this guy on first position, it's going to get damaged quite quickly, and therefore it's going to start doing some extra damage. And then piercing, I mean, it's just, I think it's one of my favorite cards. I've got a few after looking at these stats, and I guess if someone's listened now for over like an hour now, I don't know how long it's been, but I'll give you my short list. That I love. I love Chromatic Dragon, and I love. Well, I think everyone loves Angel of Light. It's to the point where Angel of Light probably needs to be leveled down. Like, it's
You're
a
saying it's
little,
a god card.
yeah. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to say what team that I proposed to Matt, the developer, but I said, hey, this team looks like it's literally the best team in the game. And he's like, oh, that would be a good one. And then he checked it, and he's like, yeah, I may have to do some things to handle that one.
It's hard because everyone's got their favorites, right? Like I like the life. I really like the life deck, but I'm also really drawn to the water splinter, like the water deck, only because like initially when we first started playing, I sort of picked up a couple of gold frost giants, and I was sort of drawn to it straight away. But I don't know. I think like having the magic their option as well, where you can sort of mix it up, and that obviously being quite a strong attack as well, is
Yeah,
something that you can mix it up. But look, it's exciting times. It's exciting times to be a part of this project.
yeah. And just as a side note to what I said earlier, if anyone is really interested in what that team was, on my Steam post, which I'll put on Monster World, you can guess which 20 mana. By the way, which 20 mana team is kind of like this god team at the moment. And if you are right, I will I'll PM you. I'll message you that's the one. So no big prize there except knowing which one is that awesome team. Oh, we've got a friend here, Austin Craig, who jumped in. Austin, we're talking about blockchain related projects. Austin he was a roommate at one point, and he did a project called Life on Bitcoin. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment. Hello, Austin. He did a project called Life on Bitcoin, where he lived. He got married, and then for the first few months of his marriage, he lived completely off of Bitcoin. And this is back in 2013 and 14, when Bitcoin was like $70 or something like that. But it was just kind of this Kickstarter that he did. We both did a Kickstarter right around the same time and raised pretty much the same amount of money. And then we both lived off of that for a certain period of time anyways, it was a pretty cool thing, and now he's still very involved with a lot of blockchain sort of stuff, and I've been meaning to talk to him about. We're supposed to have a phone call about. I was going to tell you about some of the Steem things I did. So, Austin, I created a social media site based off of blockchain. There you go. The blockchain, obviously, I did not create whatsoever. So, and I'm not the programmer. So, really, to what extent did I create it? Anyways, in my mind, I created it, and then other people. Anyways,
Don't sell yourself short.
and then it didn't pay. Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that, Austin. Um, uh, Austin's probably sitting there like, I should have probably just kept all that Bitcoin instead of making the video. But what an awesome thing to be involved with. And I know that's opened a lot of doors for him, and it's made him very knowledgeable about Bitcoin and blockchain and got him jobs. So, I mean, it's all very similar. Like me spending 7 months or more like just a lot. Like I'll edit on one screen and I'll edit pictures because I'm a photographer, and I'll just like consume media, listen to things about market trading is what I did for months and months. And that all helped me to create a market. So that was random. It's like, well, I may have not had the best disposition for actual market trading, but all that time spent learning and investing in it helped me learn how to really think about how to create markets and to do fun things. Now, Estefan, you come on here. How often do you use the market trends section? I don't use it that often,
Well,
but I will jump in sometimes and turn on market trends.
I think it's I think it's a good tool. I think I probably need to sit down and study it probably a bit more. I'm one of those guys that I guess jumps on to sort of goes. I'll jump on and set my markers of what I'm looking to buy cards between, and sort of jump on and do
Mm-hmm.
your bulk buys with your 30 at a time, which is really good. Which saves a hell of a lot of time. Um, but it's probably something that I should spend some time on, seeing as I do buy quite a few cards. I mean, have
Yeah.
you got any tips? I mean, you could probably give me some tips at another time, I guess. But I think
Well,
even running something around that essentially to help
let's
people
go through it because
understand it.
we've got a few people here, Reseller and Little Scribe, and I don't know if Cryptoctopus is still on, but some of my favorite tips for buying is what a lot of people coming on here is they don't see a lot of the super fast buys. They come in here and they'll see prices and they'll think that's the general. So if they go in here and maybe look at a week average, they can get a better feel for where prices have been or can be. But the super low ones, like this average of 17 cents for the Malik Infernos, you're like, that's crazy talk. When have I ever seen that? Well, what happens is they come in so quickly that you'll never see them, hardly ever. So part of our job on Peak Monsters is to set up so that you have a bid. So most all markets, like a Binance or something else, like TradingView shows us like you gotta buy and a sell. Actually, where are we at? I have a buy order for more Steem at 12:30. Oh, it looks like it triggered. Yep, there we go. And look where it went down to. I don't know if anyone's seeing this because it's so small on the screen. But I put my buy order for 12:30, and it looks like it went down to 12:29 on Satoshi's. Totally random thought, but I just thought it was funny. Okay, so back to this. You can look at this, but then what you were talking about is you got this general sense for where you feel comfortable at getting the cards. And I think that the market trends is kind of something that you study for a little while and see where patterns are, see where it could go back down to and where it goes up to for some of these cards. And after that point, then market trends, you don't really need to look at them that often. When you're pulling up market trends, we're having to pull a lot of things from the SteemMonsters API, so it does slow things down quite a bit. So
I guess like when I obviously, because I don't look at the market trend myself, but I know from like purchasing a hell of a lot of cards over the last sort of
Oh, a lot
well,
of
we say
cards.
six
Should we look at
weeks.
that?
Let's not look at that. You can look at that
We're
if
going
you
to look
want.
at his collection because it's blockchain, because we have this decentralized sort of thing. It's very transparent.
You can see
And
someone's wallet. You can't touch it, but you can
you can
sit
see
and
it, you can't touch
admire
it.
it.
You can see his collection, you can't touch it, but because he has the largest collection in the game, it takes the longest amount of time to pull it all up. However, we do think that we have a different method to pull it up a little bit faster. But that's only going to impact like what, 10 of us, The rest the rest of the people, they're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It pulls up just fine and fast.
But that just means that these little tools that you do means us we send you an extra case of wine at Christmas, right?
What's that?
I said by you implementing all these extra features just means we send you a nice bottle of whiskey or a case of wine at Christmas, right?
Yeah, sure. Except I don't drink alcohol, but I understand the concept. So a nice bottle of grape juice. Yes, thank you. Like your friend gave to your other friend, right?
Yeah, that was earlier today. Yeah, did you find that funny? Did you?
Yeah. He messaged me. He's like, "Hey, what's the actual ID number of the flesh monster or the flesh golem?" I was like, "Well, we could look it up in the API. I'll figure it out."
Because he wants the card. He probably already owns it.
No, he wanted the number to put it onto the box.
Oh,
I don't know if he ended up doing it. Let me give some tips though for those watching. We can. Soy Rosa says we can touch it. We can't. We can't. We can't touch it. Can we drool on it? On your collection? What we're going to do pretty soon is I think that one of the big advantages of having the market here is what we've done, this really cool tool for BCX. I think we're really going to default to price by BCX ascending, and then you could go and choose default later, because I think that this is the real big benefit to Peak Monsters market. Have you seen this?
It's a smart feature. I like it purely for the fact that a lot of the time I'll set a filter where I'm looking for say commons below,
Yeah.
4 cents or whatever. But then sometimes I'll sit there and I'll change the filter, to that new feature. And I tell you what, sometimes you can pick up some absolute diamonds in the rough, mate. I tell
Like
you.
this one right here, and we turned it green. I was like, "Oh, Fire Beetle
Yeah,
selling four
it turns green.
individually,"
You just want to snap that one because a
and
lot
I
of
was
the
like, "Ah,
time,
crap! It's only two. That's not really worth my time."
well, it depends. It depends if you're playing the long game.
Yeah. So I'm like, I want like 20 of those combined at 3 cents. But here's one of the biggest features is by price by that, and then setting it to 2 cents. What I want to know is market depth, and we will change this right here. What you're seeing with these stars, I don't think anyone uses these star numbers really, to be honest. Uh, I think we'll change that to market depth so you can know just how many cards are available at that price point. So, at least for maybe the first 5 or 10 lowest cards. So,
Yeah. No, I can. Yeah,
or lowest
I think
prices.
that'd be fine.
Because I always do this. Set it to 2 cents. I'm like, well, the market depth at 2 cents is 3 cards. That's not awesome. But at 3 cents, there's a lot of cards available at 3 cents. Holy crap, there's a lot. So what we want to do is maybe underneath here is what I'm trying to think of. And maybe we didn't see your question, Crystal. Sorry, I'm gonna pause that thought, guys. I'm gonna go back to Crystal's. But will Steam Monsters tournaments prize be in USD or Steem, or not decided yet? I've heard them mention maybe both. They've talked about Steem dollars in the past. However, I feel like they may be trending more towards US dollars and that's actually a really good thing for us, especially if the price of Steam goes way up. So,
Well, I think
either
that's
way,
like once. Yeah, I was gonna say like what I think the if they say 1,000 US dollars, it'll be 1,000 US dollars of either Steam or SBD. So I guess that means that the price, regardless of the price fluctuating, you're still gonna get like
yeah.
that amount.
So if it's 1,000 Steam, that could be really good for us if the price goes way up, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, maybe we're interested in that, but I guess we will. I think a lot of us would rather it be Steem or Steam dollars. But I can understand their game is in US dollars. Like it's all pegged to the US dollar. So I find it hard to think that I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But what we have here is I don't know how many cards that is, and I wanted to tell us how many cards that is. I wanted to say next to filters. We did a bunch of SteemPeak developments this last week. We're going to do a bunch of Peak Monsters development. So right now is the time to put your requests in over on our Discord channel. And it's not just, we've got some huge ones, which we're not going to be able to do in 1 week's time, but we can do things like having the filter show how many cards are being shown right now. And then when you change it to like 3 cents, it'll still show us how many cards are available. And then underneath here, we want it to be able to put just like, well, I want 50 of these. And you type in 50 and it will buy the 50 cheapest cards. And it will put them into your shopping cart and then you just like, okay, I'm done, right?
You're trying to tell me it's Christmas. My Christmas has come early, is what you're telling
Your
me, right?
Christmas is coming. Yeah.
That's it.
So
That's it, man.
I feel like filters is still going to be a part of this. Like, we don't want to muddy up this over here. I think it's going to be next to the filters. And so if you just want it to be the Rexy, then you just type in, you filter it by Rexy, right? And so then you say, then it shows you there's 79 cards available, and you're like, I want all 79, right? However, we're going to up the limit from 30 to, I don't know, 40 to test with to see if the blockchain can still handle that many transactions, that big of a transaction. That's a lot of
It is a
IDs
lot.
in one thing.
Well,
And
because people don't know as well, I was going to say, like, because obviously on the main site, I don't know, I couldn't see if you,
yeah,
I'm not sure if you
I
took them
will
over. Oh,
show.
you took them over the main site. You can only buy one at a time over there right now.
Oh, at the main site on SteemMonsters, yeah. And
Yeah,
this is
that's right.
what it would look like for the bulk sale. Like every one of these represents a different card. So are we gonna make that like this is probably 30? Like we could make that 50. It's just gonna be super long, and at some point maybe the blockchain can't handle it. And that's the number we'll figure out. And hopefully it's like at least 50 is my hope. And so, but otherwise, it's still going to be faster if it's still just 40. You could do two
Absolutely.
transactions, and all you have to do is put the number. I
That
want
that'll save
40.
a lot of clicking. Absolutely.
I want 40. It goes into your cart, and then you're done. And then if anyone's heard of, um, well, I don't know if anyone out there's heard of this upcoming thing called keychain. Probably not. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to explain it too much, but if they've heard of it, it's going to say it's going to improve your life by a lot. Let's just say that, Stefan.
Interesting. Is this gonna obviously this is worldwide? I'm guessing. So us
Yeah,
Australians down
keychain
under get it.
will make the process of buying much faster and actually much more secure. So,
Nice.
and I feel like I don't want to steal anyone's thunder about talking about it. People working on it. So.
Just don't Google keychain. You'll probably just come up with a
You'll
generic
see a picture of a keychain.
a
It's not
generic
like they're going to
keychain
find it.
with your name etched onto a
Yeah.
love heart.
I just want to tell you that there's a feature coming out, and we're going to be one of the first people implementing this feature. And the developers of the feature asked if we'd do that, and it's going to make everyone's life better. So, and the fun thing is that our developer of Peak Monsters is really excited about it, and he wants to implement it soon so that he can learn how to implement it on a simple site like Peak Monsters compared to SteemPeak, which he'll implement it later too. So, anyways, there's some cool little insider stuff, but that's how I'm thinking with the filters. Next to here, we'll show how many is being displayed, and then underneath here, you could just type in the number of how many you want, and it will buy you the cheapest ones. And you can say it doesn't matter If it's by card or by BCX, you can just say by card or by BCX, you know? So
I like it. I like it a lot.
that should save a whole heck of a lot of time. But we'll only be able to do one transaction at a time for the time being. It gets way more difficult if it's multi-transactions. So there may still be a limit of like 40 or 50 at a time. But it'll speed it up so where you could do 40 by keychain, 40 by keychain, 40 by keychain. And literally as fast as I just said it, that's probably how fast it could probably go.
And
maybe,
that's the beauty of our blockchain, right?
Yeah.
That's
well,
the
I
beauty
guess
of
you have
it.
the 3-second wait time, but
That's quick though, man. That's quick.
but we could have a queue for that so that you're just like boom, 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 boom. So there you go. So what I'm saying right now to every buyer out there, while it is still somewhat difficult to buy stuff, this is actually a benefit to buy now because the prices will be low. As soon as things get easier to buy later this week, I suspect prices will go up because someone like me will go, oh, screw it, I'm just going to buy all the 3-cent ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it will. Because essentially, by making a simple little tweak like that, you would save someone, or say someone like myself, or someone who's purchasing a lot in bulk, every day or every other day. That's an hour back in your day. That's awesome.
Worth something.
You
Yeah.
can't put a price on time.
So I'm going to check to make sure we don't got any other discussions going over on SteemMonsters. Okay. Just a quick jump on over there. People are very active on the YouTube chat, which is actually very handy to just have to be in one place. But they're talking about it being faster than Ethereum, and that's just like almost like a joke now. It's like,
It is, isn't
yeah,
it?
what's not faster than Ethereum?
Maybe a
And time is
turtle.
more
Maybe a
valuable than
turtle.
money. Soy Rosa says, yeah, a turtle. Yeah, maybe. I think if I put a turtle, if I started an Ethereum transaction and then put a turtle on a 10-foot track, what are the tracks that they usually put them on for like these little races? And I don't know. I think the turtle could be faster than Ethereum. So
That turtle's going places.
yeah, with a 10-foot track, I think
It's the Usain Bolt of turtles.
yeah. No, 10 minutes to go 10 feet for a turtle? Well,
No way,
Ethereum's
really?
like 30 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a turtle could win.
Whatever the slowest animal is on the planet, that's what it must be.
Let's go a deep dive real fast into we're talking about Kickstarter and the packs. So if anyone watching is like, yeah, we've got it, we should buy a pack. Did they add any new packs to it? Do we still have the $25 deal is the same? I'm
We
going to get
do.
the $100 and I'm going to count it as a business expense for Peak Monsters. So because if anyone has any good ideas of what it should be called, I'm thinking maybe a peak dragon or a peak whatever kind of cool creature that just lives in the peaks, and therefore it's the peak monster. So there you go. So
What splinter do you want to make it from? Do you want to give
well,
us any?
the dark one, obviously the black one, because I wrote the template, the storyline for black. I don't know if you knew that. So
You're doing a voice though, right? You're doing a
I'm doing a voice
voiceover.
for a red person. I should probably mention. I should probably call them up or message them and say, just so you know, like I'm heavily involved in the black team, but if you want me to do red, that's fine. That's fine. You know, have my mark on many different sections of the game, I guess.
And that's like we were talking before about people coming in, recruiting people to join and play. I mean, if people come into the project even now, we're still at a stage where everything's getting implemented, everything's getting finalized, going to the next stage. If people
Yeah.
come on with these great and unique skills, whether you're an artist or a musician or
Yeah.
You know, whatever you may be, they're you know, we need people with skills,
Yeah.
and skills are always cherished and embraced.
Exactly. I told a sculptor friend of mine, I'm like, hey, which one of these guys would you want to make? And he's like, oh, the Twisted Jester is my style. So he made me doing that. So
That's
he's
cool.
not full time sculptor, so we'll see when he gets the time to do it. But he's really talented. Okay, so the pledges, the $25 pledge, legitimately is very good value. You're getting $30 worth of stuff, and you're getting alpha cards, which is what I call. I tell my friends, first edition. Let's just call it that. Alpha, first edition, kind of same thing. So, and they're getting more than $30 worth. These things should be worth a decent amount more. So, I mean, they're selling them on their site for more. Are they still doing that? They still selling those? Yep.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
another $6 of value there, I guess. So, $36 of value for $25, and then you're supporting the game. And if some of these backer things come out, you're getting a lot more than that. Um, if we hit the backer amount of 500 backers, then everyone gets 5 more booster packs. And if you did the $25 pack, $25 deal, you're going to get another 5. So you could do this $25 deal and get the 36 plus $20 more of value. So that's almost $56 of value.
That's really good. And it's so like obviously, you know, like you said in the beginning, we're not here to sort of give people financial advice or try
Mm-hmm.
and sort of say what people should and should not be spending their money on. But look, I tell you what, for a bit of fun and to sort of learn something and be a part of a community, I think it's a really, really good way to spend your time in a positive environment where there's just so many supportive people that just want to help. You know, they just want to help and share their talents. I think, you know, even from obviously, you know, you mentioned before what you do on Steam, obviously, and or on SteemPeak,
Yeah.
essentially as well. There's so many people out there that are giving away, you know, like I run contests where we give away free cards every day, and there's so many people giving things away as well. So you can essentially come in, buy a starter kit, build your deck up, and there's just even with the amount of giveaways that are going on through people's blogs, you can pick up so many. And you're doing your own as well sometimes as well. Like there's just so many people are giving, right? It's just a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, that's part of marketing is getting a lot of people experience with it and have a vested interest in it, right? So, oh, you know what? I want to discuss this $50 pledge for Kickstarter because that $25 one has alphas, which is really awesome. Whereas the $50 one sold out, and so they made a second one where you have betas in there. Which at first glance you're like, well, I don't know if that's as good of a deal. But I didn't realize that you're getting a legendary card and an epic card in the deal. You're not getting the gold foil version, but I'll tell you what, that is an amazing deal.
That is a good deal.
That is an amazing deal. I I am actually shocked I didn't see that before. So I'd almost say, yeah, you're not getting as many alpha cards, but you can always go on over to peakmonsters.com and go to the card buy the packs section and buy a bunch of cards and stuff like that. So, but that is an awesome deal because I wanted to show anyone still watching here. We've got what I figured out is that there was really only going to be maybe up to 100 legendaries created. Now with that pack, it could go up, so it has a less of a limit, but it's still going to be somewhat limited based on those.
Of that specific Sha-Tin dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but this also differentiates the golds from the commons. So
yeah.
now golds are going to be much more valuable now because you can't get them at the $50 level. So a lot more people will have the commons, but less people will have the golds. So, and if any of these Kickstarters, like there's a new pledge comes out and it like kind of changes your mind, you can always just like, you're not paying anything. They didn't change anything on you yet, you know, like, oh, they changed it on me. It's like, no, you can just change your pledge, you know. Now you can redecide. You have until 29th or 30th or whatever. So, and then you get the gold foil card and like $200, $220 of alpha booster packs if you do the $200 deal. Like that, I think the $50 deal is like twice as good as the $25 deal, and even if they were the same, you know, like it's legitimately twice as good or more. Like, yeah. But the $200 deal is way good too.
So. It's madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so good.
When I got the $1,500 deal, I'm paying about $700 for the ability to design a card, and I get that card, which means I get a gold foil summoner legendary. So that's
which is I think that's cool in itself, because you get the card, so you don't need to find it in a pack, and you know I would essentially look at that card and go, whoa, you know that you're definitely not going to be in a loss. You're definitely not going to be at a loss. Let's just put it that way.
There's only 2 left. I want to know who the other 2 backers are. I wonder if that was Cryptoctopus, and I was talking to someone else who was mentioning it. So
it's interesting.
So
I think I got in for the 800.
For the 800?
I got in for the 800, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sweet. Yeah. Some of these stats are a little bit different, and I'd like to see us get to the 100,000 goal. So this is how I figured out the math of it. The idea is if every one of these limited ones were taken, it would be 164,000. But let's say that's not what happens, right? Like, we still need a lot. Like, if we get what was I thinking? I was thinking if we get all of these, all of the $50 value ones have already been taken. If we got all the $200 taken, and all of the 600 are already taken, and all the 800 taken, like if those 4 were taken, and then maybe 1 of these and this and this. So anyways, I just kind of figured out like, well, this is what I think happens. We get up to maybe 63,000 that way from the limited ones. It just kind of means we need to get maybe 1,400 backers, in my opinion. And some will do the $50 deal, and then some will do the a la carte. So I'm thinking maybe 1,000 backers is what my kind of goal is. What would we get at 1,000 backers?
That's a good way of looking at it as well.
Yeah, we'll hit that goal, and then we'll aim for the next one, right?
Yeah, and like I think like these things always start. Look, I haven't participated in a lot of these things, but I assume a lot of the time a lot of them start up, relatively quick, and then wait for more word of mouth to come in. Is that how normally these things work? Or?
That's how mine happened years ago. Like the goal was 60,000, I believe, back for my Kickstarter back in the day. And legitimately, because I felt like it would cost me about 100,000, so I was like, well, I could cover the rest of the cost, So, but I need to hit 60,000, or I'm just not going to do it, right? Because it would cost me too much to promise these books and promise a year on the road. And I got like 15,000 in the first day, and everyone was like, "Congratulations!" I'm like, "Dude, that's not enough."
You're like, I haven't made it yet. Let's just.
And the last day, that's where everything happens. So,
because the rush to the end.
But I think that they can do some definite things to help this out. Like, I'll stop sharing for a second, but and I'll share an idea that I proposed to them, which was at this YouTube conference coming up here in Utah. I can get a booth. Um, I'll just tell the guys I've taken pictures for them in the past. Hey, I'll take pictures again for this year, just in exchange for a booth. So I'm having to work for it, so it's not necessarily free. But and then Little Scribe is willing to kind of jump in and help man the booth. Anyone else want to come out? It's the 21st and 22nd of September. Come on out to beautiful sunny Utah, and it's actually going to be beautiful fall colors. It's going to be awesome. We'll go off-roading the day before or something. Come on out. Are you so tempted now? And yeah, so the idea is to have a booth and you have all these YouTubers hanging out all day, and all their fans are there. So there's thousands of fans and a bunch of really well-known YouTubers. And even I was just explaining to someone, it's like, look, I may be friends with them. I could even go, they could invite me over to their house for dinner. And it's just so awkward to like, by the way, do you want to buy some like, cards for this thing that I'm doing? And it's almost like a sales pitch. And that just never really, it's not really the right atmosphere for that, right? And we're not at, maybe if I'm hanging out with them at some other place, we're not at a computer, we're not going to be able to do that. But what if we had this booth, we put a computer down there, and we did one of those little spinning wheel things, and it's like they spin the wheel and it's like, oh, you won a booster pack. Oh yeah, I'm excited. Okay, you know, like, and we write down their email, and it's like, hey, just let us know when you have a Steem account. Or it's like, hey, you want a starter pack? It comes with a free Steem account. And then you have hundreds and maybe thousands, I don't know, like, you know, people that are interested. And it's not necessarily that they just have to do, like, if reseller is listening, steal all of these ideas, because I want SteemMonsters to do well. Well, you know, those little spinning wheel things are like $40 on Amazon. And then when my friends walk past and they're like wandering the floor, and I'm like, oh, JARVIE, and they come over to my booth, because they will. And I'm like, hey, let's set you up with an account right now. Boom, SteemMonsters. I'm going to set you up with an account, and now you have an account for your awesome YouTube channel, and I'll get back to you about that for SteemPeak. But let's open up some packs right now. And then they're like filming it, because that's what a lot of them do. They film it for Instagram or for YouTube. And I know that, like, I've been to these conventions, they're looking for fun things to film, and it makes sense there. It adds to their whole storyline of what they're doing at this conference, as opposed to me going to like dinner with them or just randomly talking to them. It doesn't fit. There's nothing for them to film, and it doesn't, like, the whole rest of their day was about something else, and then all of a sudden it's about this like advertisement, you know, for something. Like, this fits the whole day. They were checking out the convention floor. And then, oh, by the way, my friend JARVIE, because that's what they'll say, because then to their audience, it just like, it fits into the storyline. Like, oh, he was hanging out with his friend, and his friend's doing this cool project. I love following this YouTuber because he's connected to these cool things, you know? It totally fits the storyline. So, anyways, that's kind of the random idea. And what I wanted to, you know, it's like, it's going to come because we could do such easy things like this.
Absolutely.
And one of the other things is like, hey, if you post to social media, you know, like open a pack and put, well, we'll give you a free pack. You can spin the wheel and get something, you know, like we're going to give you a, whatever. It could even just be a sticker on the wheel, but you could win the free pack. Like, but come over to this next station with this computer. And it's like, if you post the results of what you got, you know, we'll get you a free pack. Like, you've got 1,000 people posting on social media, and a lot of them don't have big social media influences, but some of them walking by will. But you don't need people with big social media. You need all the like random followers too, like these dads, you know, that have kids, and they're like, oh, that was fun. I saw that my kids were really excited about clicking on that little button when they open the packs, you know, and maybe we'll do that more. So.
Yeah, look, kids, I think it's You've probably seen some of the videos of people's kids opening packs, and it's like, oh, it's just the expression and stuff on their face. Because obviously, with the sounds and everything now, like when you're opening packs as well, it makes it really like a very it's just something different, right?
Yeah.
It's just cool, man. I love it.
So reseller, I mean, I'd love to have you. Well, we're pretty much done here. I'm going to have to be heading out to that photo shoot. And then I'm going to one of those Chinese Lantern Festival things. My friend's performing as a musician, so
That's pretty cool.
I'm going to go to that. But anyways, reseller is going to do a lot of these conventions, perhaps. So I hope that this helps. Like, love brainstorming because I want to see a lot of people in here because it does benefit like the value of the cards that I own a lot of, 20,000 of, but also it helps Peak Monsters, which is
That's right.
awesome. So
Absolutely helps everyone in the community. It's a
you know
win-win.
what's fun is Peak Monsters. It's a three-way partnership. It's Asgarth, myself, and and SteemPeak. Peak Monster is actually paying all of the bills of SteemPeak right now.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like through like the
Well, yeah, because we're just giving all this transaction money. We send a small portion. It's not a large portion to SteemPeak, but it also says another thing. Our cost to run SteemPeak is very low, so that's enough.
So I'm a Patreon. Does that classify me as a Patreon?
Patron, patron of yeah. Well, we hope to have lots of other third parties interacting with SteemPeak.
Nah, that's awesome. It's good. It's a great service.
So yeah, reseller. If you're, that's a couple of the ideas. You know, put a wheel, have someone manning it, have them put their email down, and then write what they won, and then if they want an account, be able to sign them up right there, and open up. You know, show them what they got. Have a it may take like 3 people at the booth, one running the wheel almost full time. Because what you want is a line. What you want is a way to differentiate yourself from the other random. You're going to go to a lot of game conferences, so people will go there. They're looking for swag. They're looking for these cool free things, and spin a wheel. I don't think that the community would be too heartbroken if you gave out one pack to 5,000 people. It's not really going to impact the value of their cards because one pack does very little, and half the people, honestly, half the people will forget about it. I'm just being honest. Like they're just going to sit in an account, and part of this is like, hey, when you get a Steam account, we'll send it to you, so it's not a big deal. Like half the people won't do that, and then half the people that will get it, we don't know how many of them are actually going to continue with the game, so it's not a bad deal to the users. And I would say that I only want to do beta, like for these people, and maybe one of those spots on the 14 wheels is like an alpha, like.
That's good. It's lots of options, man. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then like another computer where they're like, let's sign you, let's create you an account. Look how fast it is. And oh, by the way, like at my booth would be really like, oh, by the way, this you could actually you actually now have access to have a blog on SteemPeak. So all right, and Little Scribe saying that at that booth another person can be able to come out and help for part of the time. So that's good. Because I'm going to be taking pictures for part of the time, so poor Little Scribe's going to be there by herself for half the time.
You guys can fly me out if you like for the event.
Yeah, that may have to come from someone else's budget.
Maybe I could sell all my cards. What do you think?
Yeah, you'd be able to come out.
Oh, definitely. I think I'd be able to come out a few times.
No, one of your. All right. The one.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm going to start getting ready, but if there's any last questions, what do you think? Did you have a subject you also wanted to bring up?
Look, I just think it's obviously because blockchain and crypto is obviously something very new to a lot of people, and I think there's no harm in asking questions. There's no silly questions, and if you go to the right sources to get the answers, You'll meet a cool bunch of people.
Yeah,
That's been my experience anyway.
yeah, sure. The other thing that people can do to help with this Kickstarter, what I wanted to mention was, uh, we got some time, but like we should do it soon. One of the newsworthy things that we could talk about is once we hit that 50,000, we could go over to a news agencies. We need PR releases. Hopefully, Steam Monsters has a PR release to make it easy for us to talk to like crypto coin news, just ccn.com, or all these YouTubers that go look on YouTube for anyone that's talked about crypto kitties. Send them a message and say,
Yeah.
hey, I saw you did a video about crypto kitties. You should do a video about this. I know the developers. I can get you into contact. We all know the developers. It's easy. It's like, but you're like, hey, I have this cool thing, and you get to get this scoop, and the YouTubers want that sort of thing. Like, I know their mentality. Like, oh, cool. Like, I can do. But the same thing with these news channels, like traditional online news for cryptocurrencies. Why aren't we sending them all a PR release, or interacting with them, or have 5, 10 of us all send the same one? Like, hey, did you know that right now it's like we should have done that when it first started. So the next newsworthy thing is at the 50,000 mark. So everyone get ready for when we hit the 50,000 mark, be able to write this short thing. They want short, and then with like, I can get you a media pack or something like that, or a media guide to hear about it, you know?
Yeah.
Make it short, but with like enticing to see the rest of it. So there you go.
No, I hear you.
And out there in Australia, you can get all this Australia.
Yeah,
And
look, it's a big place. Have you been to
and
Australia before?
gaming websites would do that too, like gaming news websites. It's like, hey, like this Kickstarter is a big deal, and I don't know, whatever you want to say. And yes, I went to Australia when I was like 15
Oh,
for a
nice. Whereabouts did you go?
high school music group, and then
Oh,
we went to
cool.
Sydney, and that's it. And then we went to New Zealand.
Did you see a
Auckland.
kangaroo and a koala?
Yeah, yeah. I have a picture of me holding a koala. Yay. What a touristy thing to do. How's your baby Joey doing? Is what Little Scribe would like to know.
Well, we always joke that I've got a pet kangaroo. I don't really have a pet kangaroo though, but
Oh, you
we're
don't?
a lot of us when we
Why?
a lot of us when we like a lot of us grew up sort of in the country sort of thing. So out there, I mean,
Yeah,
there was plenty, mate. Everywhere you'd go, there was heaps of roos and heaps of wildlife. And not
yeah,
so much in the city anymore, but if you live near the bush, like any sort of where like in our area here we still have some kangaroos around, but they're pretty scarce though. They'll sort of hide. So
yeah. I have a feeling they're very much like what our interaction with deers are. So
they get spooked, yeah.
deers, yeah, they get spooked, they run away, but you can see them all the time, and sometimes they're even in people's yards. But the further you get towards country, the more you'll see, and they get hit by cars, and I feel like that's similar as well, maybe.
Yeah, except I mean kangaroos and stuff like that are pretty big. So look, unfortunately, if you're in an incident where you potentially are in some sort of an accident, a lot of these kangaroos they seem to be able to bounce away, but and your car's probably left in a very bad way. Same with emus. My
Yeah.
grandpa hit an emu years ago. Like he was driving his car through the middle of Northern Territory and he hit an emu, and he got out of the car to see if it was alive because it was sitting on the side of the road to make sure it was see what he thought it was dead, and he got out the car and he got up. He got up and it started attacking him, and then it ran off. But he
Oh my
because they
gosh.
just built so strong that they can they just built like a tank, like a baby tank.
Yeah, that's funny.
Shock of his life. I'm sure it was a story he told until his last days. But they're the ones that make you laugh, though.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. I wanna do this again from time to time. Just just wanted to do that real fast. I wanted to get my thoughts out about the Kickstarter. I wanted to do a YouTube video on my main YouTube because mainly Peak Monsters has its own YouTube now, so I'll be mostly going over there. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for having me. It was good to shoot the breeze for a while and cover off some things. So.
okay, thanks, and thanks to everyone watching. We had a pretty consistent stream of people watching the whole time. It was at least consistent. Not talking millions, but it was really good. So we'll see you guys all later on the
No worries. Take care.
over on
See you later.
SteemMonsters, SteemPeak. Okay, talk to you later.